Happy birthday, Anne.
Oh my gosh, thank you.
Oh, wait.
Hey, I'm Anne, and I just moved to the Netherlands to get away from the Germans, but the Germans just invaded us, so here's my new house. This is my dad's business, and if you come around here, this is where I live, the attic. So I just crawl in and say this is food. So, yeah.
Otis, Anne, I brought your food.
Thanks.
Hey, get out! Come on, we're going to Auschwitz!
Okay.
Anne Frank was born in Frankfurt, Germany in 1929. Anne is most famous for keeping a diary while hiding with her family for 2 years during the Holocaust. She was given the diary on her 13th birthday and began writing in it 2 days later. Their family hid in the Annexer of Otto, or her father's building in Amsterdam. In 1994, they were discovered and deported to the Auschwitz concentration camp. Then Anne and her sister were transported to Bergen-Belsen. Anne passed away at age 15 from typhus, and her father, Otis, is the only known survivor from their family. Anne's diaries were later discovered by Mia G.S., who was the last survivor of people that her father employed. She also helped feed and protect the 8 people that were hiding in the attic of her father's family.
In Anne's diary, she often wrote about feeling lonely and isolated. As she grows up, you can see her thoughts mature, and it's evident that her entries gain a deeper meaning. In the diaries, she gives a brief description or overview of her life. She describes a couple of her friends from the local school for the Jewish. Although they did not live in Germany, her family was still anxious because they had relatives that lived in Germany. They had many restrictive laws, such as not being allowed to ride streetcars, visit Christian homes, and attend most schools. Although Anne's life could be seen as morbid and dreadful, she has moments of optimism where her writing begins to take a momentarily exciting turn.
In her diary, a famous but simple phrase is, "Dear Kitty." Kitty is one of Anne's imaginary friends, and when Kitty came to life, Anne had already been hiding for 2 months. Although she had many imaginary friends, Kitty was her favorite and the one that she wrote to the most. Anne gets a sense of comfort, and she feels secure when writing to Kitty because she knew that she would always be there for her through anything.
Towards the end of their family's hiding, Anne begins to face more suffering and becomes more sensitive. She begins to think that everyone hates her and she is always being criticized. She feels as if her life is in a black hole, and she becomes more hard on herself and the people around her. Soon her diary ends when the annex gets raided. Although we don't exactly know what she went through or felt after the annex was raided, but we can infer that things did get worse.
On page 65, Anne says, "If I talk, everyone thinks I'm showing off. When I'm silent, they think I'm ridiculous. Rude if I answer. Sly if I get a good idea. Lazy if I'm tired. Selfish if I eat a mouthful more than I should. Stupid, cowardly, crafty, etc., etc. The whole day long, I hear nothing else but that I am an insufferable baby, and although I laugh about it and pretend not to take any notice, I do mind." And this shows that Anne eventually started feeling very lonely, and like everyone, attic didn't like her.
Some bits of news catch Anne's attention and make their way into her diary, providing a vivid historical context for her personal thoughts. Anne often writes about her feelings of isolation and loneliness. She has a disorderly relationship with the adults in the annex, particularly her mother, whom she considers lacking in love and affection. She adores her father, but she is frequently scolded and criticized by Mr. and Mrs. Van Daan and Mr. Dussel. Anne thinks that her sister Margot is smart, pretty, and agreeable, but she does not feel close to her and does not write much about her. Anne eventually develops a close friendship with Peter Van Daan, the teenage boy in the annex.
Anne matures considerably throughout the course of her diary entries, moving from detailed accounts of basic activities to deeper, more profound thoughts about humanity and her own personal nature. She finds it difficult to understand why the Jews are being singled out and persecuted. Anne's diary ends without comment on August 1st, 1944, the end of a seemingly normal day that leaves us with the expectation of seeing another entry on the next page. However, the Frank family is betrayed to the Nazis and arrested on August 4th, 1944. Anne's diary, the observations of an imaginative, friendly, sometimes petty, and rather normal teenage girl, comes to an abrupt and silent end. Anne's diary begins on her 13th birthday, June 12, 1942, and ends shortly after her 15th. At the start of the diary, Anne describes fairly typical girlhood experiences, writing about her friendship with other girls, her crushes on boys, and her academic performance at school. The Franks had moved to the Netherlands in the years leading up to World War II to escape persecution in Germany. After the Germans invaded the Netherlands in 1940, the Franks were forced into hiding. The residents of the annex paid close attention to every development of the war by listening to the radio. Anne Frank's annex is not forgotten, but is now a writer's house and biographical museum dedicated to Jewish wartime diarist Anne Frank. The building is located on the canal called the Prinsengracht, close to Westerkerk in central Amsterdam and in the Netherlands. You can even do a virtual reality tour of Anne's annex on the internet. Anne Frank and her family's annex was also shown in the movie The Fault in Our Stars. This is also a symbol that the history of Anne Frank and where they had to hide and what they went through is not forgotten because it's shown in movies in modern times. Overall, The Diary of a Young Girl is a very good and informational book that gives us a lot of historical context of World War II and what it was actually like to live through the Holocaust.
I'm Layla Azimzadeh.
And I'm Kelly Hong, and
Thanks for watching!